What's going on, everybody? You are tuned in to the Hot List. I come to you on Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We hang out and we talk real estate. We talk real estate questions, topics, and concerns. I answer a question of the day that is submitted by a listener of the podcast or a some type of client, whether it's current client or past client. If you have a question that you would like me to answer on air, simply shoot me a message through Facebook, or you can leave it in the comments on your podcast player of choice that you are listening to this episode on. I will not only answer that question for you, I will then use that for future video content just like this one, because if you have a question, somebody else is going to have that same question, maybe similar question. And what better place to start than right here with me in the Hot List? Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty, and I do this because over the past few years of my real estate career, I've had a number of clients, friends, family, and even people on social media reach out to me with different types of real estate questions. And I noticed that I was answering the same question uh, repeatedly for multiple people. And while each question is a little bit different, I talk about general topics and general answers and don't dive really in depth because it may not be the same for everybody. So, my goal with this is to give you a place to start, to springboard into a deeper dive on your own and just get the ball rolling for you. As always, whether you are catching this live on Facebook with me or you're watching this on YouTube or your podcast player of choice, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this out. If you're listening to a topic that you've had a family member or even a friend that has brought it up or reached out to you, absolutely make sure that you tag them in it or you send it to them so they know that they don't have to just keep Googling for hours and just going down different rabbit holes and not coming up with the answer that they're looking for. This gives them a place to start and move forward. So today's question of the day: how do I choose a de-icer? And obviously this is going to depend on where you live and if the threat of snow and or ice will increase during the winter months. Many homeowners begin to stock up on de-icer, which is a good idea, as well as any other winter products in order to keep their walkways, driveways safe for their family and keep them clear. However, I'm sure many of you know not all deicers and deicer products are created equal. Some may actually do some harm to your home. Some deicers may not only harm plants around the walkway, they may actually do some damage to your sidewalks and driveways as well. And the goal of when you're putting these products out is not to damage your lawn, your plants, your property. This is not your end goal. You want to keep yourself and your family safe. There we're going to talk about several options for deicers that are available. So how do you know which one is best for you or your home? Well, today when we answer how do I choose a deicer, we're going to talk about 3 tips when choosing a deicer. Number 1, I think this is a good place to start: avoiding harmful compounds. As I've already established, you want to keep yourself, your family safe, whether that's, your children, your pets, whoever. You want to keep them safe. And you when you hear deicer, most of us, the first thing that comes to mind is rock salt. That is the most common de-icing compound, been around for decades. Not just It's not just for personal use, municipalities use it, but did you also know this is the most dangerous for your walkways and your yard? So I know that I don't do this very often, but we're going to get into a little science to explain why. So rock salt is made of sodium chloride, which is abbreviated as NaCl. So if you see this on the deicer product that you're considering, you're probably better off picking a different product, but you can't just choose any product. There are other products that contain a chemical called potassium chloride, or a compound called potassium chloride. And this is abbreviated as KCl. This can not only cause damage to the plants around your property, it may actually inhibit root growth of plants come springtime. So you're talking certain types of grass and whatever plants that you may have that are perennials that are planted in and around your sidewalks and driveways. So there are a couple other options that are available that are not going to have rock salt or the potassium chloride in there. The first one that we're going to talk about is calcium chloride. This is abbreviated as CaCl2. This is not only a safer compound than the previous two mentioned, it's not just effective at lower temperatures than rock salt. It actually gives off heat as it melts, which means it performs better than what the rock salt does. The next one on the list is a urea based compound, and this is a natural occurring molecule. It's made from ammonia, and this is less likely to damage your grass and your plants that are around the house. So this one is very good, especially for those of you out there listening that are plant lovers. And the final one we're going to talk about is calcium magnesium acetate, and this is abbreviated as CMA. This is another great alternative to rock salt. It is significantly less damaging than many other deicers, mostly because it is free of any form of salt. So that is a great alternative as well. Those last three that I mentioned, the calcium chloride, the urea based, and calcium magnesium acetate, they're going to be safer for you, for your pets, for your yard, any plants that you have. So those are great alternatives to the uh, sodium chloride or the potassium chloride. Number 2 on the list, reducing deicer damage. So if you're not able to find one of those alternatives that we just talked about, and you choose to use a deicer that is potentially damaging to walkways or plants, there are some options available to help reduce the damage that could be done. The best recommendation is what I use, because I don't always use rock salt. I don't always use a deicer. Uh, you can great alternatives that are not some type of deicer. They just provide traction. You can use sand, cat litter, or quick dry. I typically end up using quick dry because I always seem to have it around. While it doesn't melt, it does provide great traction and it stays longer than what some of the deicers do. Other option that you can do if you want to get the benefits of the traction as well as the deicer, you can mix one of the deicers that we talked about with an inert compound like the sand, cat litter, or the quick dry, which is the oil pickup and the oil dry. Again, these are going to provide better traction and reduce the overall amount of deicer that you need to use. And one of the best ways to spread this out, I would recommend using a mechanical spreader versus just tossing by hand. What this does is going to ensure a more even application, and it will keep large areas of salt or other chemicals from being deposited in one location. Now, obviously, if you don't have some type of broadcast spreader or hand spreader, um, do what you got to do. But this is going to be the best way to spread it evenly and just reduce those large deposits. One of the options that you can do without having to spread anything down, just depending on what you have available, is if you know that inclement weather is coming, you can use, I've seen a number of people that use tarps or cardboard to cover portions of their walkways. So I've seen people put pieces of cardboard on their steps and the sidewalk, and they just weight them down with rocks or logs. Once the weather's passed, they pull those off, pull the tarps or cardboard up, and there is an ice-free surface underneath, which is pretty cool. So this again reduces the need for deicer and is just another alternative. So now that we've talked about what types of deicer to look for, what are going to be the most beneficial, and ways to reduce the damage being done, tip number 3 is going to be preparing for winter weather. Those of you that know me, I am not a huge prepper. I'm not a planner. I just kind of wing it for a lot of things. But the one thing that I learned while I was playing Army was the 7 P's. And that is proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So what does that mean? If you take the initial steps to plan and prep, it's going to reduce your stress and your workload later. Because as many of us know, once the winter weather hits, it's already too late to go out and try to buy some type of deicer or other winter weather product. Most places begin to even run low with the threat of inclement weather. I mean, people are going to be going to and running to Walmart, to Sam's, to Tractor Supply, whatever the home improvement store is that you have near you. They put it all at the front of the store because people come in, they pick it up, and they check out. So it's right there, and they can get in and out as efficiently as possible. So with a little planning and a little prep work ahead of time, this is going to go a long way, because your best option is to stock up once the weather begins to turn cold. For example, when the weather started to turn cold in December, before we had any types of winter weather, I made sure that I had my snow shovels dug out from the shed. I made sure that the blades on them were still in good working condition, didn't need to be sharpened, didn't need to be replaced. I went and bought some ice melt. I bought about 4 bags, 4 50-pound bags of ice melt. I made sure that I had that quick dry. I mix those up, so I get the combination of the traction and the ice melt. And I have a little hand spreader that I use, and that seems to work the best for me than trying to wheel out my broadcast spreader that I also have. I could do either. I prefer the hand spreader. It just keeps the wheels from freezing or slushing up and then getting frozen and not turning. So that that's what I do. But by doing it once the weather turns cold, it gives you plenty of time to buy the deicer plus the inert compound to mix with it, as well as gives you plenty of time to find out which type of deicer is best for you, your family, and your property. As well, like I mentioned, as mix it with that inert compound like the sand, cat litter, or the quick dry materials. So that's it. Those are the 3 tips when choosing a deicer. Again, number one, to avoid harmful compounds in the deicer like the rock salt, which if you look for NaCl, that's one that you would potentially want to avoid, as well as potassium chloride, which is abbreviated as KCl. So if you see those on the ingredients list of the the deicer that you're wanting to look at, some other options to be open to that are going to cause much less damage, not just to the walkways, but your yard and plants. You've got the calcium chloride that's more effective at lower temperatures than rock salt. The urea based compound that is natural occurring molecule. It's mostly made from ammonia. And then there is the calcium magnesium acetate that is going to be free of any form of salt. Tip number 2 is reducing deicer damage. You can do this by using an inert compound alone, such as sand, cat litter, or quick dry, or mixing, maybe half and half of half deicer, half of the cat litter, or you can mix 2/3, 1/3, whatever you're more comfortable with. Maybe trial and error just to see what you're going to do and how it's going to react. But either way, you're going to get a combination of traction as well as deicer. And then finally, tip number 3, preparing for winter. You want to start to prep and buy your products and materials before inclement weather hits, because by the time inclement weather hits, it's too late. They're going to be out in stores. You're going to go store to store to store, just looking and searching. It's going to be a giant pain in the ass. You're going to be wasting more time than is necessary. So once you know winter weather is coming, buy your inert compounds, buy your deicer, and make sure that you do have enough either shovels, and check the condition that they have as well. So that's going to wrap it up for me. I would love to know what you guys do when it comes to winter weather. Do you use deicer? Do you typically stick with sand or the quick dry material? I would love to know. So let me know in the comments, and make sure you keep those questions coming. I greatly appreciate it. I have included links in the description if you want to catch up on previous episodes of the Hot List. They are in there as well. Again, I'm your host, Matt Johnson with Keller Williams Realty. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.